When I land in Korea and I'm driving, through the mountains and the smell, there's something very soulful about that country for me.
Korea is the one country that you can go one extreme to the other. So you can find very traditional culture. Also, you can find very contemporary culture.
Korea and Koreans as a culture are very unified in a lot of its values, what it means to be Korean.
It's really a pride that is genuine. It comes from a place of humility because there is a rich, rich history inside of Korea.
For centuries, Koreans have celebrated life, beauty, and tradition with great pride. Many of those traditions began during the Joseon dynasty, which reigned in Korea for more than 500 years. During that time, people created beautiful works of art, capturing their elaborate and royal celebrations. Join ABC7 as we travel to Korea and explore not only the origins of these historic treasures, but also how they continue to influence the food, travel, and lifestyle of Korea today.
Now, ABC7 presents In Grand Style, Celebrating Korea.
Hi, I'm Spencer Christian, joining you from San Francisco's Asian Art Museum. This is a very exciting place to be because within these galleries lie more than 100 works of art from Korea's Joseon dynasty.
What makes it even more extraordinary is that many of these pieces have never left Korea before. Each one carries with it a story that speaks to the grace and humility of Koreans and the beauty of a culture that honors its past while moving boldly into the future.
So where did this rich heritage begin? Very often with the king.
In 1392, King Taejo was crowned the first king of the Joseon dynasty. Confucianism was the ruling ideology, stressing a love for humanity, moral order, education, and reverence for ancestors and elders.
The king was the person who keeps morality and justice, and these were the highest values that the king should keep.
These values were translated through art, as in this piece, The Sun, Moon, and Five Peaks.
Except for official royal portraits, kings and queens were not depicted as human figures in paintings. When an artist wanted to portray kings or queens in a documentary painting, they used symbols like this screen of sun, moon, and five peaks. The sun symbolizes yang, the warm energy. It can also mean the male energy. And the moon, of course, is the opposite, the yin. It can be cold or a female energy. The five peaks symbolize the four cardinal directions and the center. Trees and water in the painting symbolize static versus flowing, moving qualities in our lives and in the world. Altogether, these symbols signify the whole universe. Screens of this symbolism always accompany a Joseon king as a backdrop, meaning that the authority of the king as the center of the universe.
Many royal milestones were celebrated and recorded through art.
1814년에 그려진 것입니다.
The picture was drawn in 1874 to celebrate the birth of the last emperor of the Great Daehan Empire, Emperor Seongjong, and it is a scene of feast. The setting of this feast was Cheongdeok Palace. The names of the administrators who contributed most were written.
During the Joseon dynasty, celebrations were not only for individuals. It was more of a broader sense. If one was celebrating their 60th or 80th birthday, it became a bigger village celebration with lots of people participating.
To ensure these royal traditions lived on for future generations, these pieces were often handed down. Such is the case with the royal seal in honor of King Taejo.
어보라는 것은
The royal seal is the object of the person who possessed it, his symbol and expression of spirit. So it is a sacred object in Korean culture that the contribution and whole life of the king were melted into.
Korea's proud reverence for its royal past becomes clear when you set foot in any of Seoul's 5 royal palaces. These architectural masterpieces suffered enormous destruction during years of war and occupation. But since Korea's independence, people have worked diligently to restore them to their majestic glory.
I think from the beginning of the dynasty, the palaces were planned heavily with deep meaning. We can appreciate the palaces in the 21st century too. When you are in front of Geunjeong Hall of the main palace, you see all of Seoul conceptually and feel the energy of the city, Seoul. All palaces actually harmonize their structure with the surrounding nature. The king, the ruler, could have chosen to construct several story-high buildings, but they didn't. The windows were meticulously planned, so in one spot from inside, you can see the scenery, the change of the weather, even the whole world from one perspective. There is a term in Korea or in East Asia that you have to construct a building or house to bring the nature inside, not dominate the nature.
When we come back, exploring royal cuisine and its influence on the rising popularity of Korean food around the globe.
In Grand Style Celebrating Korea is brought to you in part by Koret Foundation, the impact of strategic philanthropy.
Korean artists in the past did not artificially nor intentionally create art. It was from their inner nature or from their natural attitude that brought out their heart and creativity in the form of art.
This piece is no exception. King Jeongjo's procession to his father's tomb in Hwasong in 1795 is one of the most compelling pieces coming to San Francisco's Asian Art Museum. Today, thousands reenact the son's ceremonial journey to restore his father's honor after suffering a tragic death at the hands of his father.
It's huge painting, very narrow, and you will see all the detail, how the king moves, when he moves, how many people they follow, how they dress. You can have a glimpse of all this culture.
This piece is about the 8-day trip of King Jeongjo, who established the renaissance of Joseon dynasty culture in Hwasong, where his father, Prince Sado, was buried to celebrate his mother's 60th birthday. This story is well known to Korean people, since Prince Sado, father of King Jeongjo, was killed by King Yeongjo, grandfather of King Jeongjo.
The procession ended in Hwasong, at a fortress built not only as a memorial to the king's father, but also as a defensive structure to protect the royal court from invasions. Today, the fortress stands strong, with more than 3 miles of walls secured with majestic gates, watchtowers, secret portals, and pavilions. The palanquin played an important role in the royal court. Its structure, as you'll see on display at the Asian Art Museum, had a very specific purpose.
탔던 가마는 전체적으로 지배의 모양을.
The king's palanquin was shaped like a house, and it seemed like moving a room where the king sat comfortably. There are many animals on the palanquin, and they were mythical ones.
Royal banquets often followed ceremonies with a feast fit for a king. Today, the royal court cuisine is so historically significant, it was designated one of Korea's intangible cultural assets.
I think there is no other country where they designated foods as their intangible asset in the world. But even though it has changed a lot since it was designated as an intangible asset, many people tried to keep and pass down the tradition. Even though nowadays Korean cuisines are known as strong tastes, such as using red pepper and many spices and salty tastes, royal cuisines are a clean taste, so we try not to use many seasonings. Instead of that, the special characteristics of royal cuisines show the natural colors and tastes with using seasonal ingredients that were from nature, and there were many kinds of dishes. When the king saw them, he knew how people lived, or realized it was spring or summer, and he could get information about common people's life.
Today, this healthy cuisine still plays a significant role in Korean culture. Marja Vangerigten's journey of exploring her Korean roots through food began when she reunited with her birth mother. Born in South Korea to an unwed 19-year-old, she was eventually put up for adoption at age 3.
I was put into an orphanage and adopted by my parents, who were newlyweds. My father was in the Marine Corps, and he was stationed in Korea at that time. So fast forward, you know, I was brought back to America. I grew up in the suburbs of Washington, D.C.
Years later, thanks to her adoptive parents giving her enough information on her birth mom, Marja was able to find her mom in New York, and they connected immediately over food.
She whisked me away to her apartment in Brooklyn, and she had made all my favorite foods from when I was a baby. So she was like, you used to eat this kind of kimchi on a stick, and she put it on a chopstick, and it's what we call chunga kimchi, which is a long radish kimchi. And it was amazing because when I took my first bite, this flood of memories came back. I just knew I had that before.
Now, Marja is sharing her journey in cookbooks, her PBS series Kimchi Chronicles, and the new partnership with Aramark Higher Education, bringing healthy, diverse food to college campuses through their Global Fresh concept. There's a reason why Korean cuisine is so healthy.
Because from the old age, Koreans considered yin-yang and the 5 elements theory as the most important thing. We always think 5 tastes, colors, and body organs in our life, and we believe that each color food makes each organ healthy.
I was born in 1977, so Seoul in Korea during that time is very different than the Seoul of today. I actually remember going to the fruit market with my grandmother and how exotic some of the produce were. Banana was a really special thing, having a banana. After we moved to the United States from Korea, my connection with Korean culture in Korea was almost solely through food.
Chef Corey Lee has incorporated some of his Korean roots in his restaurant Baenu's menu.
The aspect of fermentation and the flavor of fermentation, and knowing how to use that as a seasoning rather than just using solely salt. I think the aesthetic of things, how food looks, the color, is a really important part of Korean cuisine, and we certainly incorporate that into our repertoire.
Today, when you visit Korea, you can see the significance food plays in a family's life by visiting the markets. They stay open late and are a place for everyone to meet, share, and enjoy all of their favorite Korean delicacies.
When we return, the role of women in the Joseon dynasty and how that influences Korea today.
In Grand Style Celebrating Korea is brought to you in part by Koret Foundation, the impact of strategic philanthropy.
For over 30 years, the San Francisco-based Koret Foundation has been dedicated to supporting anchor institutions that promote a vibrant and distinctive Bay Area, now and in the future. Founded by Joseph Koret in 1979, the Koret Foundation has furthered his legacy by investing nearly $500 million to building a stronger Bay Area and Jewish community. Koret believes that when anchor institutions improve how they work and expand their reach, they enrich the lives of our residents, contribute to the economy, and strengthen our region.
Women have always been strongly influential in Korean culture. During the Joseon dynasty, women had a quiet yet powerful presence in the royal court, especially if the queen's son was heir to the throne. This 8-panel screen painting, dating back to 1848, shows the celebration of the elder queen's 59th birthday banquet.
When you look at the first scene of the painting screens for queens, ironically, only men are depicted. There are no females in the formal ceremony, even though it's a banquet for women. You should not look at the Joseon dynasty from a 21st century point of view. Joseon's state ideology of Confucianism did not allow men and women to be in the same space and could not look at each other directly.
Looking at these pieces, you can see the beautiful robes and jewelry women wore at the royal court. Elaborate bridal robes, such as this one coming to the Asian Art Museum, were often embroidered with symbols of longevity and purity and then handed down from generation to generation.
It was only on their wedding day that women could wear colorful robes and several accessories decorated with symbolism. In the past, and I think today too, Koreans believed that marriage is actually the wedding of two families.
네, 조선시대에
In Joseon Dynasty, clothes and accessories were very important signs that expressed a person's class. Queens wore hairpins with the phoenix decoration. Phoenix was an animal and a symbol of good governing that people believed came out when they had reign of peace and when the king ruled the country well.
World-renowned Korean designer Koo Ho Jung has spent time exploring the traditional clothes from the Joseon Dynasty.
All the fabrics are mostly cotton or silk. The costumes are have a very distinctive silhouette. They don't follow the body line. They have a very oval shape of silhouette. They divide into bolero with a very full-length skirt. And they change the color. There's a lot of rule matching color together. For the innerwear, they always wear the white clothes. And then depends on you are married or not married, the color of the jogori, we call it, the jacket, and the color of the skirt is changes. So even the hairstyle, the girls who's not married, they can let the hair down, waved together, but the woman who's married, they have to put the hair up.
Today, Koo Ho's designs incorporate some of these traditional patterns into his very contemporary lines.
One of the brands is called Le Beige. It's a very classic modern women's wear, high-end women's wear. But so we're trying to use a lot of the patterns from Joseon Dynasty, the doorknob, even the window shape, and we collect all these patterns and then rearrange them and recolor them to make it modern. It's one of the examples. You see these patterns, all this geometric shape of the pattern. This is usually, we had a motif, the design motif coming from the wooden window. They have a wooden carving window. They cover with paper so light can go through. In Korea, traditionally they use two opposite colors together, always has to be opposite color. Yin and yang together, so you can have a harmony. But especially shape like this is a very traditional shape of the hanbok, the oval shape. It doesn't have a distinctive the waistline and hip line. It's like very a bit oversized and naturally draped, as you see from the skirt from the traditional clothes.
Korean designs such as Koo Ho's are taking center stage on the world's biggest fashion runways.
When we come back, we'll discover how the Korean wave has reached all corners of the globe.
In Grand Style Celebrating Korea is brought to you in part by Koret Foundation, the impact of strategic philanthropy.
In the foreground, you have this history, and in the middle, you have the modern metropolis. And behind it, you have this backdrop of nature.
Korean architect Doo-Jin Hwang knows how easy it is to get drawn into Korea's diverse landscapes. It's this love for their land and celebrations that for centuries have brought Koreans together. In this exhibition piece, you can see how thousands came out to celebrate in Pyongyang, now the capital of North Korea, to welcome their new governor.
Imagine you are approaching the city Pyongyang as the newly appointed governor, and all the people of Pyongyang come out at night with torches to hold banquets on the Daedong River. It should be beautiful and stunning.
Paintings such as these were often used to mark and honor the various stages of a young man's life.
They selected the happiest and memorable events in a life. And the fact that those events were drawn showed there was an interest in common people's daily life.
Then there's the parasol, a piece that seems to play a tiny role in the painting, but it was actually quite significant. All of these pieces illustrate the importance of preserving traditions, even as the country moves boldly into the future.
From the very beginning of the 20th century, Korea was one of a very few countries in the world where extremely rapid modernization took place, to such a degree that we almost forgot about our tradition and our history.
Doo-Jin has spent years blending traditional Korean architecture with today's modern structures. He has beautifully restored several historic Hanok village homes that date back hundreds of years. Doo-Jin approaches the task with the same respect the kings had for the environment when they built the palaces.
Paesanimje literally means that water in front of you and mountain or hill behind you. And that, in the northern hemisphere, means that you are on a certain slope. And that makes a very ideal condition for a good residential area. We call this kind of house a courtyard house. Korean architecture is more about creating a beautiful exterior space than creating an interior space. take advantage of the sunlight as much as possible. As a little kid, you used to grow up in houses like this. And I have some pictures of myself playing inside the quartet.
As Korea preserves its past, it's also rapidly embracing the 21st century. Near the Hanok village lies the heart of Seoul, a global leader in technology. Home to Samsung and now a booming entertainment industry, Seoul is the center of what many call the Korean wave. K-pop stars are attracting thousands of fans around the globe, along with Korean actors in TV and film.
There was broad industrialization of all of those businesses, and that happened very recently. And with better production value, better content, allowing great creators to give great voices and then provide a platform for people to discover it, then you have this phenomenon happening. There's a great film called Snowpiercer that will be out later this year. Fantastic Korean filmmaker named Bong Joon-ho made that movie. He took this French graphic novel, adapted it into an English language script, and I think that just tells you the world is becoming much, much different. And you know, we're privileged in the sense that Korean pop culture has been able to be part of that.
Korea's museums have also received international acclaim. The National Museum of Korea hosted the G20 Economic Summit on its new grounds in 2010. The National Palace Museum continues to put meticulous care into preserving world-renowned treasures. And the Liam Samsung Museum is an architectural masterpiece, blending traditional and modern designs both inside and out.
I think Korea is a very rich culture, but I think like any beautiful country, it's much deeper than that, and there's a lot more to find out. And if you're interested in its art, in its history, in the different kinds of cuisine, it's all there. But just, you know, you have to take the first step.
And that first step is to come to San Francisco's Asian Art Museum and see these incredible Korean works of art, including the Royal Throne. It's one of the highest treasures of the dynasty, and it has never been seen before outside of Korea until now.
The throne in this exhibition is in great condition. Look at its beautifully painted red lacquer and gold detail. I hope that our visitors learn about stories of kings who sat in this throne.
In grand style, celebrations in Korean art during the Joseon Dynasty runs through January 12th. You can go to asianart.org for more details.
The Asian Art Museum is celebrating its 10th anniversary at its new home in the Civic Center of San Francisco. And 10 years ago, we also established the Chong Lee Center for Asian Art and Culture. When we opened here, we opened with a great exhibition from Korea called Goryeo Dynasty. It is only fitting that now, when we're celebrating our 10th anniversary, when we anchor the celebration with another magnificent Korean art exhibition, this time focusing on the Joseon Dynasty.
It's been a wonderful journey sharing the beautiful history and culture of Korea with you. Thanks for joining us.
I hope that when people watch this show, they walk away with a sense of interest about Korean culture and the people. I don't think you'll find a more welcoming, down-to-earth, grounded group of people or culture anywhere.
I think we are in the process of slowly but surely rediscovering ourselves and what we could do potentially in the future, not just for ourselves, but also for the rest of the world.
너와 나 둘이 정신없이 가는 곳, 정처없이 가는 곳, 정해지지 않은 곳, 거기서 우리 서로를 재워주고 서로를 깨워주고 서로를 채워주고. Excuse me 잠시만, 아직까진 우린 남하지만 조만간 중독성을 자랑하는 장난감